Well, holy smokes, everyone. We got some drama in the markets. We've got the bear lord Michael Burry making a huge bet against bull queen Cathie Wood. Now, I'm sure you've already seen lots of videos on this, but in this video, I'm going to break down Michael Burry's current positions against ARK Invest. We're going to go over his track record, some of his past predictions, and then we're also going to have a look at Cathie Wood and some of her predictions, and we're going to weigh up what both of these huge hedge fund managers are doing right now, these big huge titans, and see who will be the winner and who will be the loser and who will be crowned king investor of the decade. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. We'll have a look here, everyone. Big short investor Michael Burry and other hedge fund managers bet against Cathie Wood's ARK Innovation ETF. Now, in case you've been living under a rock lately or in the investing community over the past 2 years, Cathie Wood, she's a hedge fund manager. She's got an ETF, but it's a bit different to other, index tracking ETFs. This is an active ETF where she manually buys and sells stocks, so it's kind of like a cheaper way of getting your own personalized hedge fund manager. Now, in 2020, Cathie Wood was, crowned the investor of the year. She was, the bull queen. She was making crazy predictions like Bitcoin going to 500,000, Tesla stock going to $5,000, and she was making lots of big bets on highly speculative, high growth tech stocks. Now, on the other hand, you had Michael Burry. He came out with a lot of warnings in 2020, and he also got shut down by the Security and Exchange Commission over tweets. But they still haven't shut down Elon Musk with all his tweets, which are absolutely affecting the cryptocurrency market. So as long as you're pumping stocks and not putting out the truth there or warnings that could weaken confidence, it's all good. It says here, a legion of retail traders helped make stock picker Cathie Wood flagship fund one of the hottest investments in the past year. But now some professional investors are betting on its demise. So again, a lot of her videos went viral in 2020. A lot of retail traders really love her stock picks, and they really look to what she's got to say to make their own individualized investments. So several hedge funds took out fresh positions in the second quarter, betting against Miss Wood's actively managed ARK Innovation ETF. And that's according to the most recent 13F filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The filings are a requirement for professional investors and are due 45 days after the end of the quarter. So we'll just have a look at how the fund has been performing. We can see here it started in 2014, and it's had some pretty good growth. It was around $20 in 2014, and it crashed in March 2020. But as the retail traders got into the markets, a lot of retailers did really get in March 2020 and were boarding the dip. And hey, congratulations to them. They've made some great gains. The fund went absolutely parabolic, and it went from around $40 all the way up to $150. But then it crashed down to $104 in May 2021. And there are still a lot of professional hedge fund managers betting that it's going to drop lower. So among the biggest naysayers was Michael Burry. Mr. Burry's Psychon Asset Management held bearish put options worth nearly $31 million against 235,000 shares of the ARK Innovation ETF. And here we can see how much shares they've got puts on or shorts on. We can see here, these are all the other hedge fund managers. And Psychon, Michael Burry's hedge fund, he's one of the smaller positions. So there are many bigger players which are putting even bigger bets against his fund. So again, if you don't know what puts are, put options are which give investors the right to sell shares at a certain price, typically deliver profits to investors when the stock or the fund they are betting against declines in value. But we can see here her fund is severely underperforming the S&P 500 index. It says as shares of the technology and other fast-growing companies lost some of their luster over the following months, so too did Miss Wood's Innovation Fund. It is down 6.9% this year, while the S&P 500 has risen 18%. And something I was also seeing in 2020 is investors were saying she's way better than Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's lost his touch. But there's a quote Warren Buffett says, "Everyone's a genius in a bull market, and it's not until the tide comes out that you see who's been swimming without underwear." But shots fired, pew, pew, pew. Cathie Wood strikes back and says Michael Burry doesn't understand innovation space after he bets against the ARK fund. What do you think about that? I think Michael Burry does know a thing or two about a thing or two, but let's have a deeper look. She tweeted on Tuesday morning, I do not believe he understands the fundamentals that are creating explosive growth and investment opportunities in the innovation space. Now, look, I do believe with her that there will be some highly disruptive growth companies that will have fantastic returns, but also what happens with new technology, like what happened in the dot-com boom, is some investors, they get too hyped up about these stocks and they put too much money in too early. Now, for example, like the internet. Of course, all these internet companies like Google were going to change the world. But still, that doesn't mean you can't create bubbles like in the dot-com bubble, like I said before. Just like in 2017, with crypto, we see boom bust cycles when there's too much hopium and too much euphoria. Just because they are going to be disruptive and are going to be innovative doesn't mean it can create short-term overpriced shares and overpriced markets. But it's not just these high-flying tech stocks or Cathie Wood's ARK fund that they're betting against. Michael Burry has put out warnings that America is going to be facing very high inflation. He warned that last year, and we're now starting to see this now, where Cathie Wood has been saying we're going to be getting deflation. So who is going to be right? It seems so far Michael Burry is right, but who will ultimately be right in the end? She tweeted here, most bears seem to believe that inflation will continue to accelerate, shortening investment time horizons and destroying valuations. Despite what we believe has been a supply chain related short-term burst in inflation, both equities and bonds have appreciated since March. Well, again, they keep saying this temporary inflation. Well, it doesn't seem like inflation is going down at all. It's just been continuing to rise, and these short-term, supply disruptions, they're continuing. We can see in Asia at the ports, they're getting shut down because if there's a case here or two, they completely shut down the ports. We're seeing China getting shut down, and so we're continuing to see these supply chain disruptions, and they're not going away either. But what I do agree with her, technology should create deflation, and while we may see prices go down in things like TVs, smartphones, cars, all the mandatory things like that we need to survive, like housing and food, well, they're going up crazy. And a lot of these prices or these things that are going parabolic, like houses, like assets, aren't being weighted properly in the CPI. So the CPI, which is in America right now, is 5.4%. Well, if you look at shadow stats, they're saying real inflation is actually 13%, much higher than the officials are saying. And she's also made another call, because she's been under a lot of fire here, that says stocks are not in a bubble and thinks investors betting against her fund are off base. But now let's have a look at some of the warnings Michael Burry has gave us and see if some of his predictions have come true and some that haven't. So early this year in February, Michael Burry did put out this prediction that inflation is going to be high. It's going to be a lot higher than they're all talking about, and warns Bitcoin and gold might be at risk. And so since then, we have had a correction in gold and in Bitcoin. So he has been right in the short term there on gold and Bitcoin. And Michael Burry is normally a short term. He places short term bets like the housing market, more of a 2 to 3 year time horizon. So far, gold hasn't really been performing that good because investors are worried that they might lift interest rates and the dollar appreciate, and that's bad for gold. But not financial advice, but I do think it may be good to start adding some gold to your portfolio right now with all the uncertainties going around the world. And I think, gold is a good deal with its current sell-off. And I like to do opposite to what the market's doing. When everyone's going into stocks, real estate, I like to look what's really not being talked about. What are people not buying? And right now, gold's kind of lost its luster. So it may be a good time to add some gold to your portfolio. Early in the year, when Tesla was going crazy, he made a huge $680 million bet against Tesla. And so he's been shorting Tesla since it was around $800. I think he loaded up on more shorts around April when it was around $700. So he has been pretty profitable in this trade as well. But I will admit, one call he has been wrong on is the big short. He bet that index funds were in a bubble and they're like subprime CDOs. And this was in September 2019. And of course, since September 2019, the indexes like the S&P 500, the Dow, and NASDAQ has just been going higher and higher. But he also came out with another prediction in July where he said meme stocks will crash as new money dries up. And he's actually been right on this one. We can see this article came out at June 1st, and that was pretty much right at the peak for AMC. And since then, it's fallen from around $62 all the way down to $33. And GameStop's fallen from around $250 down to $159. And what you have to know about him is he's not just a bear. He was actually, investing in GME right around here when it was around $17, $20, and then he sold it. So he also made some profitable bets, betting that a stock price would go up. So he isn't just bearish, he does make bullish bets as well. So everyone, we've got the two titans, Michael Burry and Cathie Wood, going head to head, betting that inflation would either be high inflation with Michael Burry or Cathie Wood betting we're going to be deflationary. We've got Michael Burry betting, the stocks are going to crash, the ARK fund's going to crash, all these high-flying tech stocks are going to crash, where we've got Cathie Wood betting that these high-flying tech stocks, they're going to be so disruptive and innovative that they're going to have crazy returns in the long run. So now that we know that, I'm sure you're wanting my opinion because obviously I'm much smarter than Michael Burry and much smarter than Cathie Wood. The YouTubers, we really know what is going to happen. Just kidding, everyone. Just some of my thoughts and opinions on the situation. I think really they could be both right. Michael Burry, in the short term, if we do get a crash, if the Federal Reserve does lift interest rates, or if there is some other kind of black swan event, or if the pandemic worsens, we could get a short-term crash in the stock market, housing market. But I do agree with Cathie Wood that in the long term, some of these tech stocks will see crazy growth and crazy returns. It's just a matter of picking the right ones. For example, if you could have invested in Google, Amazon 10 years ago, you would have made crazy gains. Same with investing in Tesla 5 years ago. But, there's hundreds of companies and it's very hard to choose which one's going to be the winner. So you have to do a lot of research and you have to make your own decision what you think will be the best performing high-flying tech stock for the long term. But everyone, what do you think? Who do you think will be the winner? Let me know. Now, for all my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. If you haven't already, please tap that like and subscribe button. I'll keep you up to date with the latest that's happening in the stock market, housing market, and global finance news. Now, if you're bored, I'll put up some other videos here. I'll see you all there.